Today's video, we are going to talk about Google Ads feeder strategy. How and why this does not work, okay? So I've heard this going around and making the rounds on YouTube and online about how to run a successful e-commerce business campaign through Google Ads, running your shopping campaigns, running your search campaigns. John Moran was the one who originally came out with this. I don't think all of his advice certainly is not great, but some of it certainly, I want to say, I'll disagree with. Sensational, clicks and all that. Or maybe it's not, and he just thinks it's the best strategy. I don't know. But what I can tell you is I manage dozens of campaigns myself, and I've been running Google Ads for 20 years now. So I've ran thousands of accounts, so added up all together, or looked at, or audited over the last 20 years, over 10 of which is just at my agency here at Guaranteed PPC. Of that, I can tell you the weaknesses in this particular strategy and why it's not that great of a strategy, even though it seems like the new hottest thing that's out there, which, by the way, that's generally what I've noticed as a trend. John Moran does it. Some other YouTubers do it. They'll mention, oh, the XYZ strategy. It's the thing. And reality is, it's just the same thing that people have done here and there, and it draws in clicks, whether that was the intention of the user who made the video about the particular topic or not. And in my opinion, it's to do that, to drive clicks. The more controversial it is, and the more unique that it sounds, the more it's going to draw in clicks when there's inherent flaws with it, but they're not going to tell you that. They just want to come up with a new thing to talk about. And people want strategies that are like all self-contained magic solution, magic pills. Do the XYZ strategy and you'll make money. Do the ZYX strategy, it makes money now. The reality is nothing works for everybody all the time. Every niche is different, which is why softwares don't work for PPC. If there was one software that you clicked on and your PPC ads made you a millionaire, everybody would use it, nobody would use agencies, nobody would be broke. It's not how it works. Every niche has its own things that make, that you can't do it for a certain niche or you can. And then these strategies itself, frankly, they have weaknesses and they don't tell you about the weaknesses. So I'm going to go over this particular strategy, why this is not the best strategy in the world, why there's major flaws and holes in it, so you understand whether to use it or not. And then when you could use it, there is some situations where I would actually use it, but not many. And in the elderly care supply space, where we used a similar strategy, and it actually did increase our profits. The main thing is 80+% of the time, 90% of the time, you're not going to want to use this strategy in favor for something else, which is a whole lot better. So before I get into the content, if you do not know who I am Corey Ziman, owner of Guaranteed PPC, an online advertising agency that specializes in guaranteeing results for their clients. That is, we do not charge our clients management fees until we can get them a certain minimum lift in the profitability up front, basically in excess of what our management fees actually are. We are the only agency out there in the public that offers such a guarantee, which should tell you something about the quality of the information that I'm sharing with you here on this particular video and channel. So with that said, getting into it here. So first of all, what the feeder strategy is basically when you run a PMax campaign and a shopping campaign to presumably run shopping ads, because that's what everybody wants to run when they're running an e-commerce company to get sales, because they don't know how to run search ad campaigns that are successful, or they're too lazy or don't know about SKAG campaigns, which is the way to run search campaigns that are profitable, so that 30-40% of your profit from Google Ads comes from the search campaigns versus what everybody doesn't try hard or don't know how to do it, know what they're doing, or don't want to hire somebody. All their money comes from shopping ads. And then, they're only going to get one piece of the pie. And even then, they just set it all up. Oh, they're done. No, there's other ways to optimize the shopping campaigns to get more out of it. But this feeder strategy itself, you run the two campaigns to run shopping ads, okay? And what the idea behind this is you have a high ROAS or CPA target on the PMax campaign, and you have a lower ROAS or CPA target, or in the case like with John Moran, he'll say no target. And with the standard shopping campaign, with the idea being that the standard shopping campaign will draw a bunch of new traffic to the website. The PMax campaign will do a great job retargeting those people as they come back to Google and search, or to run, banner ads and all that, or what look like banner ads on the display network, and it'll clean up and make sales on the traffic that shopping campaign initially drove to the website. That's the general idea behind it. Basically, you're creating a sales funnel. There's a campaign to drive traffic in, and there's a sale campaign to clean up and make sales from the traffic that's already been and hit the site before. And the reason why John Moran specifically originated the strategy and said why it's important is because the PMax campaign really will focus on remarketing, display remarketing, video remarketing, and then the search remarketing and shopping remarketing. So anybody who's been to the site showing the ad to them first and won't do a good job to get in front of new people, which that in itself, if that's the only premise, which I've watched the videos about these feeder strategies, what other people are saying, including John Moran, why they're saying it's so good, that's the main reason why I've gathered out of it. If any of you guys disagree with me, leave me a comment in the comment section. I'll be glad to engage with you. That's the dumbest idea for having the feeder strategy to begin with. I get you certainly want to drive traffic to your site and then remarket the hell out of it to get the value out of the traffic. We do this all the freaking time. There's not enough people talking about that. Most people don't want to do remarketing at all because they don't see it work like that. And then, oh, it doesn't work, meaning every single person in the world that runs a billboard or anything out there that doesn't convert immediately is a scam, which we know that's not the case. People see ads and then it influences their purchase later on down the line. Remarketing banner ads specifically, people see them, they internalize the information, and then when they go to make a decision to buy, you're more likely to have them buy from you versus somebody else. So this is very, very valuable. But to use two separate campaigns that are going to run your shopping ads to create a funnel to do regular marketing and then remarketing, that in itself is dumb. So I'll explain a little bit more why I'm saying this is actually dumb. So reasons why not to do the feeder strategy, number one is you're spreading the data out between two different campaigns. I've talked about all the time on this channel how your Google Ads, 70% or more of your results coming through Google Ads is going to be based upon the data that you've acquired in your account over time. We've had situations where we sold, like for instance, we had a printer toner seller. We tried to take all the campaigns and everything we had in that campaign, that Google Ads account, they've been running ads for 10 years already, transplanted into another account to promote another website in that space. And the results day one are like 5% of what we got with the old account. Ultimately, there's no data in the new account. Your ad rank is very, very, very low. You have no information for the algorithm to understand what products sell versus don't. And just uploading your customer list to the system is not going to help patch that up either. It might help a little bit, but practically speaking, none. And then that also applies to the campaign level. Now, if you have one campaign running and then you run another, the learning from one campaign will apply to the other to some regard, but not all of it. So each campaign has to be running a long time and gather a lot of data before it really hits a groove and really gets you the value out of it that you want. The volume of sales and the ROI. So with that said, when you run this stupid feeder strategy to run two different shopping campaigns effectively, and or, to do remarketing, shopping remarketing, and then first click remarketing, you're actually taking the learnings and spreading it out between two campaigns. And those two different campaigns then have to take twice as long to gather the same amount of data the single campaign running it exclusively by itself would take to get to a certain level. So, I mean, it's really, pretty much proportional. Like if you've spent $1 million on a shopping campaign, you could expect X result. If you've spent $2 million on that shopping campaign, you could expect X plus whatever result. If you spent $3 million, and it just keeps going. The longer and more money you've spent on that campaign, the more you could expect out of top line revenue generated and profit. So why would you want to split your learning out between two different campaigns? That's number one. Number two, no feed setups weed out other networks. So basically, the other reason why John Moran had said that you want to run two separate campaigns, one standard shopping, one PMax, is because you could actually, with the standard shopping, focus all your traffic on regular shopping placements with that campaign to control things better. But if you use a feed-only setup, you don't have that problem. You could just take out, in other words, with the feed-only setup, if you don't know what that is, you could take out the headlines and descriptions and all this crap from the PMax campaign. So it basically is forced to only run shopping placements. So that's not even an issue anymore either. So you could just run your shopping placements by itself, the feed-only campaign setup, and that's it. The caveat with that is, by the way, if you've already had a PMax campaign running for a long time and you rely on the sales from it already, you can't just simply delete the headlines and descriptions and all that, because your campaign will go back into learning mode and you'll feel it. So in that case, or in that situation, if you wanted to really ramp up the amount of shopping placements you were getting, you could run a standalone shopping campaign technically in that situation, but even then, if you've been running that PMax campaign for a long time, the campaign is set up by default to optimize for conversions. So if it runs ads on the display network and it doesn't convert, it'll scale it back. So in reality, most PMax campaigns, if you were to look at the level as to where your ads are running, search versus shopping versus display, and you could do this with the Google Ads API and using an app to extract the data from the Google's backend. You're going to see 90% of your traffic already coming from the shopping placements anyway, because that's what converts. And maybe 10% mostly going to come from the search ads, and then almost none of it's going to come from the display, demand gen, video ads, because it doesn't convert, so it's going to weed it out already. Google would like to run those ads for you there, but it can't get it to convert, so it weeds it out automatically. So running a standalone search shopping campaign to run more shopping placements isn't needed. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Number three, reason why the feeder strategy is dumb is because SKAG setups beat PMax for lead generation campaigns. So some people are using the feeder strategy for lead generation campaigns itself. And so they'll run a PMax campaign for lead generation, then they'll run search campaigns, and they use the search campaigns to run their first click traffic and ramp that up, and then the PMax to do the bottom end remarketing and all that stuff. And the reality is that in and itself is even more dumb. You know, I know I'm maybe pissing some people off that use this strategy, but you know, the reality is I'm not here to tell people what they want to hear. I'm here to tell you what works. And if you don't like to hear what works, this is not the channel for you. There's always different ways to do things. It's not to say one way can't make profit. It's just what way makes the most profit. And there's reasons why certain things make more profit than others. And I try to explain why they do, which is why these videos are so long and people complain about that. But at the end of the day, if you hear the explanation and you don't test it, well, that's your fault. So if you run search campaigns to drive traffic and then run PMax campaigns to do the remarketing, what your PMax campaign is going to ultimately do, unless you got opportunity level tracking set up to track when a lead actually turns into a qualified lead, the PMax campaign is going to get you a bunch of shit traffic, a bunch of shit leads, and you're going to end up in a worse position overall. Now, if you had opportunity level tracking where you score the leads and leads that are qualified and or that turn into a sale, you have that so-called offline conversion tracking piping data into your Google Ads account, that feeder strategy where you use PMax to remarket and then a regular search campaign to get your first click traffic, that wouldn't be so bad. However, even in that situation, it still would be a dumb idea because you're going to make more money with a standalone display campaign for remarketing and a standalone YouTube campaign for remarketing and a standalone demand gen campaign for remarketing than doing remarketing through a PMax campaign, which doesn't have all the levers and switches and ways to optimize the campaigns because it's all simplified to make it easier to advertise for people that don't want to spend time to try to get a good return on their campaigns. PMax is for the people that literally have more money than brains for lead generation, and they don't care. They just want it done in 5 minutes and that's it. If you want more return, I mean, if that's what you want is to make a little bit of money and not spend time on it, PMax all the way. If you want to get a great return, you run standalone campaigns and you optimize those standalone campaigns, different reasons, but I would tell you one main one right off the bat is sometimes the banner ads will work better than the demand gen ads, and the demand gen ads will work better than the YouTube ads. And you don't want to shove all that in one campaign because they perform so much differently than one another. Why would you want to have PMax run them all and then tell you how you're performing on an overall cumulative basis? Or even if you use an app to find out what's performing or running where, to get data from the back end of using Google Ads as API, you still can't decide unless you're going to shut off one particular channel using, like, let's say you take out the video ad, you can't really do much about it anyway. So, way to make the most money with lead gen is you run search campaigns for the first traffic, like the feeder strategy guys try to say, and then you run standalone campaigns to do the remarketing because you have the best and all the controls available to run those other remarketing ads that way, and therefore you'll get the most results for yourself that way. Beyond that though, number 4, regular search campaigns beat PMax campaigns. So beyond that, let's say you're running search campaigns for your first click traffic and then PMax for the remarketing. Well, PMax itself is not going to not do search engine ads or search ads. You can't shut it off. So the search ads that it does run is going to compete with your standalone search campaigns to the point where it's going to take the place of it's going to push this regular search campaign ads out of the way, and you're going to get a less ideal result because SKAG campaigns, I don't care what anybody says, I'll bet anybody who wants to disagree with me that SKAG campaigns don't produce the best results, I'll bet you $10,000 that I could get a higher click-through rate with a SKAG campaign than your non-SKAG campaign. I don't care what niche you're in, I'll beat you. Doesn't matter. If you want a free $10,000, the easiest 10K you've ever made, leave me a comment down below. I'll set up a test. We'll get this baby going. Okay? And I have no problem with that. I don't care who it is. But SKAG campaigns get the best result out of search campaigns. So why do you want something running, i.e. a PMax campaign, that's going to hog the impressions from your search campaign where you have the SKAG set up, and then the PMax campaign, you can't have a SKAG campaign set up because it's not set up to run SKAG, okay? So that's another reason why this stupid feeder strategy is a dumb idea. And then finally, selling branded products, it does make some sense. So coming in on the positive side, everything has a time and a place, which is why I've talked about on this channel. I don't sell courses because there's not, as much as people have asked me to make a course, there's no course that's going to work for everybody all the time. Every niche has a little bit different stuff. Some niches you run this type of campaign, some others you don't. And I tell everybody this is the way, you're falling into the trap of wanting an easy, quick solution, that pill that you can easily swallow that just solves all your problems. That's not where the best results from running PPC ads comes from. And there's general rules that apply, which is why you got to watch a lot of videos that I talk about and then make your own decision versus saying, give me the answer in an easy to swallow format and then I'm done. Now, in some markets, this feeder strategy can work because you could actually run standard. I've talked about, just to take a step backwards here, how PMax campaigns run shopping placements better than standalone shopping campaigns do. Because PMax campaigns have extra machine learning built within them. This isn't to be disputed. I would love to run standard shopping instead of PMax because you don't have to worry about your ads showing up other places, but it doesn't get the same results as standalone shopping campaigns get. With that said, okay, we'll run PMax 98% of the time to run shopping placements. However, in some niches, okay, you have to run standard shopping campaigns because you got to be able to see the search terms report and then add a lot of negative keywords to your campaign in order to weed out the traffic you don't want. And this is true in a lot of niches where you're selling branded items, where the branded items are profitable to promote and the non-branded items aren't profitable to promote, or people not searching on a brand level, it's also not profitable. So with the case study here that I was going to mention, we had sold elderly care products, so like people buying motorized scooters, lift chairs, stuff like that. Okay, when people are searching for those products by brand name, the conversion rate on the traffic is 3 to 5x higher than somebody who's searching for motorized scooters. Because that person searching for motorized scooters is way farther away from making a purchase than somebody types in XJ4912 motorized scooter, searching by make and model. If you don't realize it, the people searching motorized scooters for sale, a lot of those people are never going to buy. They're going to use your site as a free educational tool, and then they're going to be like, I don't know, I'll just buy next year. And you just pissed your money away to help somebody out for free realize that they didn't really want to buy anything. Whereas if you're marketing to the person looking for a specific model of product, it's just, do you have the better price a lot of times? Okay, I'm going to buy. And so that's what you ultimately want a gun for. Now, ideally, you would market to both if it were profitable to market to both. But in a lot of situations, like with this market, it's not profitable to market to both, or at least until you've gotten further down the line and you could slowly test out the short tail keyword traffic, i.e. people searching for like motorized scooters for sale, on a very, very long-term basis, wasting money for 6 months to a year until it works, and you've collected enough data for Google's machine learning to realize what portion of that traffic that searches for motorized scooters is profitable, and to only show up for that percentage of the people that have a certain income, a certain age, a certain gender, a certain and then it will work. But if you try to market to everybody right away, short tail and long tail keyword searches, you're going to run out of money before you ever hit profitability and you're out of the game. So what do you do in that situation? You run a standard shopping campaign only targeting the long tail keywords, namely the make and model level searches. And you could do that by looking at the search terms report, finding all the terms that are not make and model level searches, and then add them as negative keywords to your campaign until your campaign's trained to just have your shopping ads show up for people that have make/model level search, right? Now, where the feeder strategy comes in here is you could have the PMax campaign running at the same time. That really will clean up and still get you a lot of the remarketing, search remarketing specifically, because you could add search remarketing audiences to a standard shopping campaign. But in that particular market, we found the best combination was the PMax campaign on a very small budget to just do basic search remarketing itself because it does it so well, and the standard shopping campaign to do go after everybody new, basically, okay? And ultimately, the reason why you would do this again, instead of just adding a search remarketing audience to the standard shopping campaign, is because you blocked everything related to short tail searches from that standard shopping campaign. You blocked scooters for sale. You blocked lift chairs for sale. And because you blocked those on the shopping campaign, for the people that are typing in motorized scooters for sale that have been to your site already, you still want to have your ad show up for them, because even though they're making a different search like that, they're highly likely to buy from you because they know, like, and trust you already probably, or are familiar with you at least. And so you would still want the PMax campaign to pick that particular user up through that PMax campaign that's open to everybody, but that have at least been to the site at least once, if you will. So that is why you would use a feeder strategy in that particular unique situation. It is an example of where it would work. So 99% of the time, I'm not going to use a feeder strategy because it's dumb for all the reasons that I said. But in this unique situation and situations like it, namely any market where you're selling branded items, the feeder strategy actually can come in handy. Particular example of where a feeder strategy can make you more money than you're going to get without the use of the feeder strategy. Because reality is, at the end of the day, there's different strategies you could use. Like I said, what is the strategy that's going to make you the most money? I don't want to just pick any random damn strategy. I want another one that makes the most money. The feeder strategy won't make you the most money most of the time. It will in some unique situations. So you have to evaluate your situation, what niche you're in, what your goals are before you just blindly go with it. And I think I explained very well what situations where it could be useful and why it would specifically be useful versus the bogus reasons why that's being touted as to why it's good. And for that matter, there's no magic solution for any of this stuff. You have to learn the stuff that normally works and what doesn't work and what situations it works, because no strategy works in all situations. The only way you're going to really be good at PPC because of all this is if you study. And all the information that you need needs to come from somebody who actually does strategy on a regular basis as their full-time job and then talks about it on the side, which is exactly what you get on this channel, by the way, because I spend 40 hours a week doing ad strategy at our firm, and I spend my weekend sharing what works. If you want to get the information straight from the source, you want to subscribe to this channel. So if you haven't subscribed already and you want to actually figure out how to make millions of dollars doing what you're doing, running ads for your business, you want to subscribe. Go ahead and do that if you haven't already, if you're serious about making money with ads. Furthermore, I've got a great blog on my site at guaranteedppc.com/blog, where you can also find other strategies that we're using at the firm to guarantee results for our clients with screenshots, with everything you need to use them. You should definitely check that out as well. So with that said, okay, feeder strategy is just the hot coin term out there, being talked about and making its rounds. Usually a PPC guru, which, who knows if they're actually even running any ads to know what the hell's going on or not. Most don't. Talks about this thing, and then it goes, and then another guy talks about it because his video got a lot of views, and then another guy talks about it, and then pretty soon everybody's using it, and it was all just based upon a foundation to start with. You at least know how to spot a lot of this stuff, like what's going on. And in this situation, spreading your data, above all, spreading your data out between two different campaigns isn't going to make you the most money unless you absolutely have to do it. And then with that said, if you still aren't confident about what to do, leave me a comment below or reach out to me in my firm and book a consulting call with me. I could go over your exact situation, your niche, whatever campaigns you got going, and let you know if you should use it or not. We also offer a full service offering in that we will manage your ads for you, not only just tell you what to do, but how to do it and actually execute everything for you if you got more money than time. We're the best agency you're going to find that can get you the results, given that I do the strategy directly for every client that we work with at the firm. Most other agencies are going to pawn you off to some lackey who doesn't know anything. And we're limited in how many clients we could serve, but at least if we take you on, we don't take on everybody, you're going to get somebody who actually knows what they're doing, strategizing your account. So if you're interested in that, you can also reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. We also been selling ad templates. If we've already worked in your niche market before, we can sell you the winning ad templates that work for your niche market. The winning ads, landing pages, campaign templates, all of it. And we've worked in over 100 different niche markets, so the chances are quite good that we've already got you the results that you're looking for because we've ran ads in your market and you can take that and run with it. We can tell you the results you're going to get with it up front as well, right up front in terms of cost per lead, ROI, all of that. So, and then with that, we've got people that use these templates to start holding their businesses up from scratch. I mean, literally, you could take a template that already works in a market to crush the competition, open it up in a local market or in a different country that our client's not in, and immediately have a turnkey business going and just outsource all the work. And we've got people doing that very thing. So if you're interested in that, you can also reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. I'm going to wrap it up with that though. Thank you very much for watching as usual, and I'll see you on the next one.
Remember when I said search campaign as was important during this video? Well, this video here tells you how to do it.